The stars looked different when death was coming. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of Earth Defense Station, watching the main screen with tired eyes. 200 red dots moved across the display like angry insects. Each dot was a Zephyrian warship. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a city. "Sir, they'll reach Mars orbit in 6 hours," said Lieutenant Carol Barnes from her station. Her voice shook just a little. "Should we move our fleet back to Earth?" Jake looked at the blue dots on his screen. 30 human ships. That was everything Earth had. Destroyers, cruisers, and 3 heavy battleships. Good ships with brave crews. But they were toys compared to what was coming. "No," Jake said. "We fight them at Mars, give Earth more time." The young officer nodded and turned back to her controls. Jake knew what she was thinking. Everyone in the room knew the truth. This wasn't a battle. This was a delay. The Zephyrians had been watching humans for months. They sent messages that Earth's leaders tried to keep secret. The aliens spoke about humans like scientists talking about bugs, primitive, weak, ready to surrender. Jake touched the communication device on his ear. "Get me Commander Parker." Ben Parker's face appeared on a small screen. The man looked tired. He had been working for 3 days without sleep, trying to find some way to save Earth. "Any good news, Ben?" Jake asked. "The weapons don't work," Ben said. "Our missiles can't get through their shields. Our railguns bounce off their armor. It's like throwing rocks at a tank." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. He had seen the reports. Zephyrian ships used energy shields that could stop anything humans had. Their plasma cannons could cut through the strongest human armor like paper. Their faster-than-light drives were 50 years ahead of human technology. "There is one thing," Ben said quietly. "What?" "Project Lazarus." Jake felt his stomach drop. That project was shut down. The ship was destroyed. The official reports say that. But the ship is still out there, hidden in the asteroid belt. "Ben, that's impossible." The space-time tests nearly tore apart the research station. Command ordered the project buried forever. "I know what the order said. I wrote half of them." Ben leaned closer to his camera. "But Captain Rodriguez and her crew are still alive. They've been working on the problems for 3 years." In complete silence, Jake stared at the screen. Amy Rodriguez was one of the best captains in the fleet. Smart, brave, and stubborn enough to keep working on impossible problems. If anyone could make the Lazarus technology work, it would be her. "The Global Defense Council will never approve it," Jake said. "Then don't ask them." Far from Earth, in the cold darkness between Mars and Jupiter, something waited among the rocks. The USS Defiance hung in the shadow of a massive asteroid. The ship looked wrong somehow. Its hull seemed to shift and shimmer like oil on water. Sometimes it looked solid. Sometimes it looked like it was made of light. Captain Amy Rodriguez floated in the zero gravity of her command deck. Her ship had been off artificial gravity for 2 years. It saved power, and power was something they needed for more important things. "Kyle, how are the engines looking?" Amy asked. Chief Engineer Kyle Martinez pushed himself over to her position. His face was dirty with engine grease, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "The fusion antimatter reaction is stable," he said. "The quantum field generators are holding steady." "I think we finally have it working," Amy smiled. It had taken 3 years of careful work, but they had solved the problems that shut down Project Lazarus. The ship could now bend space and time without tearing itself apart. "What about weapons?" Amy asked. Weapons officer Lisa Shang pulled herself over from the weapons control station. "The gravitational pulse cannons are ready. The singularity torpedoes are loaded. We've got 6 shots before we need to recharge." Amy looked around her command deck. 200 people lived on this ship. They had given up everything to make this work. Families thought they were dead. Friends had forgotten them. But they kept working because they believed in something impossible. "Communication check," Amy said. Ryan Foster spun around from his station. "We're still dark, Captain. No signals in or out." "Just like the last 1,000 days," Amy nodded. "That was the agreement." Complete radio silence until the project was finished or Earth was in danger. They couldn't risk the aliens learning about their work. The ship shook slightly. Kyle looked worried. Just a small space-time ripple, he said. The quantum fields are still learning to work together. Amy looked out at the stars through the main window. Somewhere out there, an alien fleet was coming to destroy her world. She wondered if Earth's leaders knew how hopeless things were. She wondered if Admiral Morrison was planning something clever. A soft beep came from Ryan's station. He looked surprised. "Captain, I'm getting an encrypted signal." "Command frequency." Amy felt her heart speed up. "Put it through." Ben Parker's voice filled the command deck. It was just audio, no video. Too much risk of the signal being traced. "Lazarus. This is Prometheus Base. Confirm you are receiving." Amy looked at her crew. They all stared back at her. This was the moment they had been waiting for. "Prometheus Base, this is Lazarus. We receive you. Amy, this is Ben Parker. I need you to listen carefully. 200 Zephyrian ships are 6 hours from Mars. Admiral Morrison's fleet is going to try to stop them, but we both know how that will end." Amy closed her eyes. 200 ships? Earth's entire fleet wouldn't last 10 minutes. "I'm sending you activation codes," Ben continued. "This is not an official order. The Global Defense Council doesn't know about this transmission. If you power up that ship, there's no going back." Amy opened her eyes and looked at her crew. Lisa Chang nodded. Kyle Martinez gave her a thumbs up. Ryan Foster smiled. "Send the codes," Amy said. The ship's computers beeped as the activation sequence downloaded. Warning lights flashed as systems that had been sleeping for 3 years began to wake up. The fusion antimatter reactor started its startup cycle. "Good luck, Amy," Ben's voice said. "Make them remember that humans don't give up." The transmission ended. Amy looked out at the stars again. Soon those stars would see something that wasn't supposed to exist. A human ship that could bend the laws of physics. "All stations, prepare for activation," Amy announced. Time to see if 3 years of impossible work was worth it. The USS Defiance began to come alive. Amy Rodriguez floated to her captain's chair and strapped herself in. Her hands shook slightly as she opened the activation codes. 3 years of work would either save Earth or destroy everything they had built. "Kyle, start the reactor sequence," she said. Kyle Martinez pushed off from the wall and flew to his engineering station. His fingers moved across the controls like a piano player. "Beginning fusion antimatter startup. This is going to get interesting." The ship began to hum. It was a deep sound that Amy could feel in her bones. The Defiance had been quiet for so long that the noise seemed almost alive. "Tell me about our weapons, Lisa," Amy said. Lisa Chung pulled herself to the weapons control panel. "The gravitational pulse cannons are something new. They don't fire bullets or energy beams. They change gravity itself. We can make space heavy or light wherever we want." Amy nodded. The weapons were based on alien technology they had found in a crashed scout ship 20 years ago. But humans had made them better. The aliens used gravity to move their ships. Humans learned to use gravity as a weapon. "What about the hull?" Amy asked. "The metamaterial is ready," Kyle said from his station. "We can shift between solid metal and pure energy. When we're energy, nothing can touch us. When we're solid, we hit like a mountain." The ship shook as more systems came online. Warning lights flashed red and yellow. Amy had seen this before during their tests. The Defiance was pushing the laws of physics, and physics didn't like being pushed. "Ryan, try to pick up alien communications." Amy said. Ryan Foster moved to his station and began working with the radio equipment. After a few minutes, alien voices filled the command deck. The translation computer changed their words into English. "Fleet Commander Vexstar to all ships," the alien voice said. "Maintain formation. The human resistance will be minimal." Another voice answered. "Commander, should we prepare surrender terms?" "Yes, the humans will give up quickly once they see our power. Their primitive weapons cannot hurt us. We will make Earth a farming world. The humans can work for us." Amy felt anger growing in her chest. The aliens talked about humans like they were animals, like Earth was already theirs. Keep listening, she told Ryan. I want to know everything. They're planning. Across the solar system, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, the UNS Defender. Through the main window he could see his fleet spreading out near Mars, 30 ships against 200. It wasn't a battle, it was suicide. Sir, the alien fleet will be here in 4 hours, said Lieutenant Barnes. Should we send a surrender message? No, Jake said firmly. We fight until we can't fight anymore. Earth needs every minute we can give them. Jake looked at his tactical display. His ships were good, but they were built for fighting other humans. Rail guns that fired metal slugs, nuclear missiles, laser defense systems. Everything worked fine against human ships, but the aliens had technology that made human weapons look like toys. Captain Matt Sullivan's ship, the UNS Courage, moved into position on the fleet's right side. Sullivan was young but brave. His ship carried the newest human weapons, but even those wouldn't be enough. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison, Jake said into his communicator. We all know what we're facing. These aliens think humans are weak. Let's show them how wrong they are. Back on the Defiance, the awakening continued. The ship's reactor was now running at full power. Energy flowed through systems that had been sleeping for years. Amy, we're getting some strange readings, Kyle said. The quantum field generators are working, but they're doing things we didn't expect. What kind of things? They're bending space around the ship. We're becoming hard to see on sensors. And the gravitational fields are making little tears in space-time. Amy looked worried. Dangerous tears? No, just tiny ones. Like wrinkles in reality, they heal themselves in a few seconds. Lisa Chang looked up from her station. Captain, the Singularity torpedoes are ready. Each one has a tiny black hole inside a magnetic bottle. When they hit something, they don't explode, they implode. Amy had seen the test videos. The Singularity torpedoes could crush a building into a ball the size of a marble, but they had never been tested against alien shields. How many do we have? 6. Torpedoes. After that, we'll need to make more, and that takes time. The ship shook again, harder this time. Kyle looked at his screens with concern. The spacetime fields are getting stronger, he said. We're definitely bending reality around us. I'm reading gravitational waves, quantum fluctuations, and something the computers can't identify. Amy made a decision. Take us out of the asteroid. Field, slowly. I want to see how the ship handles in open space. The Defiance began to move. But it didn't move like other ships. Instead of pushing against space, it seemed to fold space around itself. The stars outside the windows twisted and stretched. This is incredible, Kyle whispered. We're not really moving. We're making space shorter in front of us and longer behind us. Ryan suddenly looked up from his communication station. Captain, I'm picking up Admiral Morrison's fleet communications. They're preparing for battle near Mars. Amy listened to the human military frequencies. She heard Admiral Morrison giving orders to his captains. She heard the fear in their voices, but also their determination. They don't know about us, she said. Should we contact them? Ryan asked. No, not yet. We're still officially dead, remember? Let's see what we can do on our own first. The alien communications continued. Fleet Commander Vexstar was dividing his ships into attack groups. He planned to destroy the human fleet quickly, then move on to Earth. The aliens talked about human cities like they were already conquered. They're so sure of themselves, Lisa said angrily. Good, Amy replied. Overconfident enemies make mistakes. The Defiance continued its test flight. The ship moved through space like a ghost, bending light and gravity around itself. On long range sensors, it appeared as just another asteroid. But up close, anyone could see that this was no natural object. Kyle, how are the inertial dampeners working? Perfect. We can change direction instantly without turning the crew into jelly. The artificial gravity fields protect us from acceleration forces. Amy smiled. That was another human innovation. The aliens had fast ships, but they still had to deal with the physics of acceleration. Human ships could now move in ways that would be impossible for any other species. Lisa, run a weapons check, all systems. Lisa's hands moved over her controls. Gravitational pulse cannons are charged and ready. Singularity torpedoes are armed. Point defense lasers are online. And Amy, the weapons are stronger than our simulations predicted. How much stronger? Maybe twice as strong. The quantum fields are amplifying everything. It's like the ship is learning to use its own power more efficiently. Amy looked around her command deck. Her crew had worked for 3 years to make this moment possible. They had given up their lives, their families, their entire world to build something impossible. Ryan, any change in alien communications? They're still confident. Fleet. Commander Vexstar just told his captains that humans have never seen real military technology. He says the battle will be over in minutes. Amy felt a cold smile cross her face. We'll see about that. The Defiance finished its test flight and began moving toward the inner solar system. Behind it, space-time ripples marked its passage like footprints in reality. The ship that wasn't supposed to exist was going to war. The alien fleet came out of faster-than-light travel like a swarm of deadly insects. 200 ships appeared near Mars orbit in perfect formation. Each ship was 3 times larger than the biggest human vessel. Admiral Jake Morrison watched them arrive on his main screen. The Zephyrian ships looked like giant metal spears with glowing blue engines. Energy shields shimmered around each vessel like soap bubbles made of light. All ships, this is Admiral Morrison, Jake said into his communicator. Remember, we're not trying to win. We're buying time for Earth. Make every shot count. The alien fleet spread out into attack formation. Fleet Commander Vexstar's flagship moved to the center, surrounded by heavy cruisers. The smaller ships formed a wide circle, ready to surround the human fleet. "Sir, they're trying to box us in," said Lieutenant Barnes from her tactical station. "Let them try," Jake replied. "All ships open fire when they come in range." Captain Matt Sullivan's ship, the UNS Courage, was the first to fire. Railgun rounds streaked across space at incredible speed. The metal slugs should have punched through any armor. Instead, they hit the alien energy shields and simply disappeared. "What the hell?" Sullivan said over the radio. The rounds just vanished. More human ships opened fire. Nuclear missiles launched from their tubes, trailing bright exhaust. Laser beams cut through space. Railgun rounds flew like angry hornets. Nothing worked. The alien shields absorbed everything. Then the aliens fired back. Blue plasma beams lanced out from the Zephyrian ships. The first beam hit the UNS Liberty and cut the destroyer in half. The ship exploded in a ball of fire and metal. 200 people died in an instant. Evasive maneuvers. Jake shouted, "All ships, scatter!" But the human ships were too slow. More plasma beams reached out like fingers of death. The UN's warrior took 3 hits and broke apart. The UN's guardian tried to use an asteroid for cover, but a plasma beam went right through the rock and destroyed the ship behind it. Captain Sullivan watched his friends die and felt rage fill his heart. "This is the Courage. I'm going to ram their flagship." "Matt, no," Jake called over the radio. "You won't even scratch their shields." "Maybe not, but I'm going to try." The UN's Courage turned toward the alien flagship and pushed its engines to maximum power. The ship accelerated toward Fleet Commander Vexstar's vessel like a bullet. Vexstar watched the human ship approach with amusement. "Foolish creatures," he said to his bridge crew. "They think their primitive vessel can harm us." The Courage struck the alien flagship's energy shield at full speed. For a moment, the shield flashed bright white. Then the human ship simply ceased to exist. The shield didn't even flicker afterward. "Pathetic," Vexstar said. "Signal the fleet end this quickly." The alien ships moved forward like predators closing in for the kill. Human ships died by the dozens. The UN's Defender took a hit that tore off its port side. The UN's Phoenix exploded. When plasma beams overloaded its reactor. Jake Morrison felt despair growing in his chest. His fleet was being slaughtered, and they hadn't even damaged one alien ship. In 10 minutes there would be nothing left to protect Earth. Sir, we should retreat, Lieutenant Barnes said quietly. No, Jake replied. We fight until the end. That's... When Emma Garcia, the sensor operator, suddenly looked up with confusion. Sir, I'm reading something impossible. There's a massive energy signature coming from the asteroid belt. What kind of signature? I don't know, sir. The computers can't identify it. It's moving toward us at near light speed. Jake looked at his main screen. A new contact was approaching the battle. But this wasn't another ship. This was something else. Something that made his sensors scream warnings. The USS Defiance dropped out of its impossible faster-than-light travel directly behind the alien rearguard. The ship appeared from nowhere, its hull shifting from transparent energy back to solid metal. Captain Amy Rodriguez looked at her tactical display. 12 alien ships were in front of her, focused on attacking the human fleet. They had no idea she was there. Lisa, target the 3 ships on the left. Gravitational pulse cannons, minimum power. Minimum power? Lisa Chang asked. Are you sure? We don't know how strong these weapons really are. Start small. Lisa's hands moved over her controls. Gravitational pulse cannons locked on target. Firing. The Defiance didn't shoot anything visible. There was no beam, no missile, no explosion. Instead, space itself changed around the 3 alien ships. The first Zephyrian destroyer suddenly weighed 1,000,000 times more than normal. Its own gravity crushed it into a metal ball the size of a basketball. The second ship stretched like taffy as gravity pulled it in different directions. The third ship simply disappeared as space folded around it. Fleet Commander Vexstar stared at his tactical display in shock. 3 of his ships had just been destroyed by something impossible. His sensors couldn't even detect what had hit them. Report! He shouted at his bridge crew. Sir, there's a human ship behind us, his tactical officer said with terror in his voice. But it's not like the others. It's doing things to space itself. Vexstar looked at the screen showing the mysterious human vessel. The ship looked wrong. Somehow, its hull seemed to flow like liquid metal. Energy patterns danced around it that his computers couldn't understand. What kind of weapons is it using? Sir, I don't think they're weapons. I think it's changing the laws of physics. Amy Rodriguez smiled as she watched the alien confusion. Lisa, let's try the singularity torpedoes. Fire one at their biggest. Ship, a torpedo launched from the Defiance. It looked like an ordinary missile, but inside its warhead was something impossible. A tiny black hole held in a magnetic bottle. The torpedo struck a Zephyrian heavy cruiser. Instead of exploding, it imploded. The black hole escaped its magnetic prison and began eating the ship from the inside. In seconds, the massive alien vessel was sucked into a point smaller than a marble. Impossible, Vexstar whispered. No species has that technology. Kyle Martinez called out from his engineering station. Amy, the quantum fields are getting stronger. The ship is learning to use its power more efficiently. What do you mean? The gravitational weapons are becoming more precise. The space-time manipulation is getting easier. It's like the ship is teaching itself new tricks. Ryan Foster looked up from his communication station. Captain, I'm intercepting alien communications. They're calling us a demon ship. Some of them are talking about retreat. Amy felt a cold satisfaction. The aliens had thought humans were weak and primitive. Now they were learning the truth. When humans were desperate enough, they could break the laws of physics itself. Admiral Morrison is hailing us, Ryan said. Amy hesitated. The Defiance was still officially a dead ship. Making contact would reveal secrets that some people wanted to stay buried. Put him through. Admiral Jake Morrison's voice filled the command deck. Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Morrison. Identify yourself. Admiral, this is Captain Rodriguez of the USS Defiance. We're here to help. The Defiance was destroyed 3 years ago. The reports of our death were greatly exaggerated. Jake stared at his screen as the mysterious ship continued its impossible attack. More alien vessels died as space twisted around them. The ship seemed to be playing with the laws of reality like a child with toys. Rodriguez, what the hell are you shooting at them? Gravity, sir, just gravity. Fleet Commander Vexstar made a desperate decision. All ships, concentrate fire on the demon vessel. Use everything we have. 50 alien ships turned their plasma cannons toward the Defiance. The combined firepower was enough to melt a moon. Blue energy beams converged on the human ship. The beams passed right through it. Amy had shifted the ship's hull to pure energy. The plasma bolts flew through empty space where the Defiance should have been. Impossible, Vexstar said again. It was becoming his favorite word. Captain Amy Rodriguez pushed the Defiance through a turn that should have torn the ship apart. The vessel spun completely around in less than a second, changing direction without slowing down. Her crew didn't even feel the movement. Kyle, how? Are the inertial dampeners holding up? Amy asked. Perfect, Kyle Martinez called from his engineering station. The artificial gravity fields are canceling out all acceleration forces. We can move however we want without turning the crew into soup. Amy watched as alien plasma beams tried to track her ship. The Zephyrian gunners couldn't understand how a vessel could change direction instantly. Their targeting computers were going crazy trying to predict where the Defiance would be next. Lisa, fire another singularity torpedo. Target their command ship. Lisa Chang smiled as she locked onto Fleet Commander Vexstar's flagship, firing singularity torpedo. The torpedo streaked across space looking like an ordinary missile. But when it hit the alien flagship's energy shield, something extraordinary happened. The shield collapsed inward as if space itself was being sucked into a tiny hole. Vexstar watched in horror as his ship's shields disappeared. The torpedo struck his hull and released its terrible cargo. A microscopic black hole began eating his ship from the inside out. Emergency evacuation. Vexstar screamed, all hands to escape pods, but there wasn't time. The black hole grew larger with each passing second, consuming metal, energy, and anything else it touched. In 30 seconds, the massive flagship was reduced to a spinning disk of crushed matter the size of a dinner plate. Sir, the fleet commander's ship is gone, reported Vexstar's second in command from another vessel. That thing just ate it. The remaining alien ships began to pull back. For the first time in their military history, the Zephyrians were afraid. Amy watched the aliens retreat and felt a moment of satisfaction. But then Kyle's voice brought her back to reality. Amy, something strange is happening. The ship's systems are getting stronger. What do you mean? The gravitational field generators are producing more power than they should. The quantum processors are running faster. It's like the ship is learning how to be more efficient. Amy looked at her displays. Kyle was right. The Defiance was somehow improving itself during the battle. Each time they used the gravity weapons, the next shot was more precise. Each time they shifted the hull between energy and matter, the process got smoother. Ryan, what are the aliens saying? Ryan Foster listened to the alien communications with growing amazement. Captain, they're calling us a reality-warping demon ship. Some of their captains are refusing orders to attack us. Put it on speakers. Alien voices filled the command deck, translated by the computer into English. Fleet Command, this is Captain Zexamore. The human vessel is using impossible technology. It changes the fundamental forces of nature. All ships, concentrate fire. On the demon ship, came the reply. Use maximum power. Sir, our weapons pass through it when it becomes energy. When it becomes solid, our shots bounce off like rain. How do we fight something that can control reality? Amy heard the fear in the alien voices. These were warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. Now they sounded like frightened children. Lisa, how many singularity torpedoes do we have left? 4, Captain. But the magnetic containment systems are getting better at holding the black holes. I think we can make them stronger now. Do it. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the impossible battle from his damaged flagship. His fleet was in ruins. 20 of his 30 ships were destroyed or crippled. But somehow, one mysterious human vessel was winning against an entire alien armada. Sir, the unknown ship is moving again, reported Lieutenant Alex. Turner from the tactical station. Jake watched as the Defiance performed the maneuvers that hurt his eyes to look at. The ship seemed to fold space around itself, appearing in multiple places at once. It was like watching someone bend reality into impossible shapes. Emma, are you getting any readings on that ship's technology? Sensor operator Emma Garcia shook her head. Sir, my equipment can't understand what it's doing. The energy signatures keep changing. Sometimes it reads like a ship, sometimes like a star, sometimes like nothing at all. The Defiance moved through the alien formation like a shark among fish. Each ship it targeted simply ceased to exist. Some were crushed by gravity. Others were pulled into black holes. A few seemed to just disappear when space folded around them. Kyle, the weapons are definitely getting stronger, Lisa reported. That last gravitational pulse destroyed 5 ships instead of 3. Kyle looked at his engineering displays with wonder. The quantum fields are learning to work together more efficiently. The ship is literally teaching itself new physics. Emmy felt a chill run down her spine. They had built something that was evolving beyond their understanding. The Defiance was becoming more than just a ship. It was becoming something that could rewrite the laws of nature. Captain, incoming transmission from the alien fleet, Ryan said. Put it through, a new alien voice spoke, higher-pitched with obvious panic. Demon ship, this is Sub-Commander Nexville. We request immediate ceasefire. We will withdraw from this system, Amy smiled coldly. Tell them no. No? You came here to conquer Earth. You talked about making humans into slaves. Now you want to run away when you meet real resistance. We did not know humans possessed reality-warping technology. Now you do. Spread the word. Humans are not weak. We're just getting started. The alien fleet began a full retreat toward the edge of the solar system. But Amy wasn't finished with them yet. Lisa, target their engines. I want them stranded. All of them? Every single ship. The Defiance moved through the fleeing alien vessels like a force of nature. Gravitational pulses disabled engine after engine. Singularity torpedoes created black holes that pulled ships out of faster-than-light travel. Space itself bent and twisted as the impossible human vessel demonstrated that physics was just a suggestion. Captain, I'm intercepting a transmission. To the alien homeworld, Ryan reported. What are they saying? They're warning their empire that humans have technology that violates the fundamental laws of the universe. They're calling for planet-killer weapons to be deployed. Amy felt a moment of worry. Planet killers were weapons that could destroy entire worlds. If the aliens decided Earth was too dangerous to exist, they might try to blow up the whole planet. How long before those weapons could get here? Unknown, Captain. But the message will take months to reach their homeworld, and months more for any response. That gave them time. Time to build more ships like the Defiance. Time to prepare for the real war that was coming, Kyle called out from his station. Amy, we're getting some unusual readings from the quantum field generators. Dangerous unusual? No, just strange. The fields are starting to resonate with something. Like they're talking to another ship using the same technology. Amy felt her heart skip a beat. Another ship? I think so. The signal is coming from Earth. Amy stared at her displays. If there was another ship using Lazarus technology, it meant someone else had been working on the project in secret. But who? And why hadn't they revealed themselves during the battle? Ryan, send a message to Admiral Morrison. Tell him the immediate threat is over, but this is just the beginning. The last alien ship disappeared into faster-than-light travel, running home with tailies of impossible human technology. The Defiance hung in space among the wreckage of the battle, its hull shimmering between matter and energy. Amy looked around. Her command deck, her crew had done the impossible. They had saved Earth with a ship that shouldn't exist. But she knew this victory would bring new dangers. The galaxy now knew that humans could break the laws of physics, and that would make them either very feared or very dead. The USS Defiance followed the fleeing alien ships toward the edge of the solar system. Amy Rodriguez watched her tactical display as 50 Zephyrian vessels ran for their lives. These were the same aliens who had come to conquer Earth just hours ago. "Kyle, how are our systems holding up?" Amy asked. Kyle Martinez looked worried as he studied his engineering displays. "Captain, we have a problem. The quantum field generators are running way beyond safe limits. The space-time manipulation is getting stronger, but it's also getting dangerous." "What kind of dangerous?" "The ship is bending reality so much that we might tear a permanent hole in space. A big one, big enough to destroy the entire solar system." Felt her blood turn cold. The Defiance had saved Earth, but now it might accidentally destroy everything they were trying to protect. "How long do we have?" "Maybe an hour before the quantum cascade becomes unstable. After that, we won't be able to control what happens." Amy looked at her crew. They had worked for 3 years to make this ship possible. Now they faced a terrible choice. They could let the aliens escape or risk destroying everything. "Lisa, how many ships are left in their fleet?" 51 vessels, Captain. "They're trying to reach the outer planets where they can safely jump to faster-than-light speed." Amy made her decision. "We finish this, but we do it fast." The Defiance accelerated toward the alien fleet using its impossible drive system. Space folded around the ship like origami, bringing the fleeing vessels closer with each passing second. Fleet Commander Vextar was dead, consumed by a black hole along with his flagship. The alien fleet was now under the command of Subcommander Nexval, a young officer who had never faced anything like the human demon ship. "All vessels, maintain maximum speed," Nexval ordered over the communication system. "Do not engage the human vessel. It is beyond our ability to fight." "Sir, it's gaining on us," reported one of his captains. "Our ships cannot outrun something that bends space itself." Nexval watched his sensors as the impossible human ship appeared and disappeared around his fleet. Each time it materialized, more of his vessels died in ways that violated every law of physics he had ever learned. "Send a message to the demon ship," Nexval said desperately. "Offer them anything they want. Tribute, technology, territory. Just let us leave." Ryan Foster received the alien transmission and translated it for the crew. "Captain, they're offering us their entire technology database if we let them go. What else?" "Maps of the galaxy, locations of other species, and a promise to never enter human space again." Amy considered the offer. The alien technology would advance human civilization by centuries. But she remembered what the aliens had said about making Earth into a farming world. She remembered how they talked about humans like animals. No, they came here to enslave us. Now they pay the price." The Defiance moved through the alien formation like a force of nature. Gravitational pulse cannons crushed ships into metal balls. Singularity torpedoes created black holes that consumed entire vessels. The ship's reality warping technology turned space itself into a weapon, but Kyle's warnings were getting more urgent. "Amy, the quantum fields are cascading out of control. We need to stop using the weapons or we're going to break space-time permanently." Amy looked at her tactical display. 20 alien ships were left. 20 ships full of warriors who would return to their empire with stories of human power. Stories that would make other species think twice before attacking Earth. "Lisa, do we have any singularity torpedoes left?" "One, Captain, but it's different from the others. The magnetic containment system has been learning from our previous shots. This one is much more powerful." Amy had an idea. It was crazy and dangerous, but it might solve all their problems at once. "Can you modify the torpedo to create a temporary wormhole instead of a black hole?" Lisa's eyes widened. "Theoretically, yes. But where would the wormhole lead?" "Somewhere far away. Somewhere the aliens can survive but never threaten Earth again." Kyle looked up from his station. "Amy, that's incredibly risky. We don't know where a wormhole like that might open. It could lead anywhere in the galaxy. Or it could save us from having to destroy 20 more ships while our quantum fields are failing." Amy made the call. "Do it, Lisa. Modify the torpedo." Lisa worked frantically at her weapons console, reprogramming the Singularity torpedo's magnetic containment system. Instead of releasing a black hole, the weapon would create a controlled space-time rupture, a doorway to somewhere else. Torpedo ready, Captain, but I have no idea where it will send them. Fire! The modified torpedo launched toward the center of the alien formation. When it reached the middle of their fleet, it exploded in a way that had never been seen before. Instead of creating a black hole, it tore open a hole in space itself. The wormhole appeared as a swirling tunnel of twisted light and impossible colors. Gravitational forces grabbed the alien ships and pulled them toward the opening. One by one, the Zephyrian vessels disappeared into the tunnel. Sub-Commander Nexville watched in terror as his ship was pulled toward the impossible doorway. His last transmission was a warning to his empire. The humans have technology that can tear holes in reality itself. Do not underestimate them again. 20 alien ships vanished into the wormhole. Then the tunnel collapsed, leaving empty space where the fleet had been. Where did it send them? Amy asked. Kyle checked his instruments. Somewhere far away. The quantum signature suggests they're at least 500 light-years from here. It will take them decades to get home, assuming they survive the journey. The immediate threat was over, but the Defiance still faced the problem of its failing. Quantum systems. Kyle worked desperately to shut down the space-time manipulation systems before they caused permanent damage. "I'm venting the quantum fields into normal space," he reported. "It's going to cause some spectacular light shows, but it should prevent a cascade failure." The ship shuddered as exotic energy poured out of its systems. The space around the Defiance lit up with colors that had no names as reality slowly returned. To normal. Admiral Jake Morrison's voice came over the communication system. "USS Defiance, this is Admiral Morrison. We need to talk." Amy knew this moment would come. The ship's existence could no longer be kept secret. Too many people had seen what it could do. "Admiral, this is Captain Rodriguez. We're ready to come in. Rodriguez, I need to know everything. How long has this ship existed? Who authorized its construction? And what the hell kind of weapons are you using?" Amy looked around her command deck. Her crew had given up everything to make this ship possible. Now they would have to face questions from people who might not understand what they had accomplished. "It's a long story, Admiral. But the short version is that we built something impossible and used it to save Earth. Impossible is right. Get back to Earth Defense Station immediately. We have a lot to discuss." The Defiance began its journey home, its experimental systems finally running at safe levels. Behind them, the wreckage of the alien fleet floated in space, proof of what human determination could accomplish when pushed to its limits. Ryan Foster monitored the alien communication frequencies one last time. "Captain, I'm picking up long-range transmissions." Sub-Commander Nexville managed to send a message to the Zephyrian Empire before the wormhole closed. What did he say? He warned them that humans possess technology that can manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. He called us a species that should never be underestimated. Amy smiled. The message would spread through the galaxy, carried by traders and diplomats to every known species. Earth was no longer an unknown world on the edge of civilization. It was now a place that even advanced civilizations would approach with respect and caution. The USS Defiance, the ship that wasn't meant to exist, had changed humanity's place in the galaxy forever. And this was only the beginning.